I think first order of business, as soon as I find it, is...
Well, you're going to...
Oh, excellent. Hang on, okay. The meeting agenda is going to change a little bit. There is one public hearing we're not holding tonight, and that is on Astor Courts. The notice never got into the newspaper in a timely manner, so we've spoken with the applicant, and that is going to be re-noticed, and that will be on the... will be on our agenda for public hearing on our December 15th, I think it's December 15th meeting. And
The planning board should make a motion to that effect.
to that effect?
Yeah, you should reschedule that.
Should we do it when we get to it, though?
Yeah, you can do it.
We'll do it at that point? Okay.
And the 810 item, the sketch plan conference on Rhinebeck Ford is also deferred upon request of the applicant to December 15th.
Correct.
Okay. And we can make it, we can, okay, that's, okay. Other than that, I do believe this stands as you're seeing it before you. So if there are any other changes come up as we go along, we'll certainly let you know. Can I have a motion to accept Art's meeting notes?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And I believe we have, you got some minutes?
You got minutes of special meetings of September 29th and November 3rd, I believe, right?
I think so, yes. Has everyone had a chance to read those minutes of those two special meetings?
I think so, yeah.
Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second. Second.
Any amendments or modifications? Good, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. I don't know of any other correspondence or other non-agenda items or announcements
I did not follow through on the next item, Michael.
for the calendar. Okay.
I did not ask Joan to do it. I said I would actually provide a draft. And I think all what the board should do this evening, because it affects timing down the road,
Right.
is simply by consensus determine that in the next calendar year, you'll be using the same regular meeting schedule as you have this year and the past few years, which is essentially a first Monday meeting the first 6 months of the year, a third Monday meeting the second 6 months of the year, and an agenda deadline 2 weeks prior to the submission deadline, 2 weeks prior to the meeting.
With the ability-
Additional meetings as required.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And Joan can simply develop a calendar on the basis of the board's consensus.
Okay.
You should establish consensus or motion or whatever.
Right. Could I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. I would also mention Jesse may be late tonight. He's getting some huge equipment at the hospital, and he was trying to get it in during the day, but it may take a little longer. So he may be a little bit late this evening. So, all right, we'll have our first public hearing. Hey, John.
In 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes. The other referrals that we have to do tonight, I guess the other referral that we're going to do, and well, we can talk it at the end. There will be a change in terms of the Rhinecliff waterfront plan. We met with them earlier this evening, and basically there are a few other steps that need to be taken before we can make a recommendation to the town board, but we will go over that later and go over that with you, explain to you what needs to be done so we can do that.
So actually, that's going to be, that presentation is also deferred until
Correct.
December 15th.
Correct.
And I'll be reviewing some interim review on behalf of the board.
All righty. Let's, oh dear. Mark, did the ZBA act on the variances for John yet?
They did not act on the variances.
They've
The ZBA meeting was last Wednesday.
Right, okay.
They act after the next meeting.
Which will be night after tomorrow or something.
They didn't act.
They did not act.
And,
There's nothing we can do.
the understanding I've expressed in my meeting notes is
Right.
not correct. And
So,
the recommendation that the planning board could move forward this evening is also not correct.
but by golly, we will be able to next meeting. So I will,
Do that.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, let me just, since we're at the time for this public hearing, let me just go through this.
On your agenda. It was listed as an action item on the agenda.
I understand that our ZBA
Didn't happen.
told ZBA would need another meeting to render their decision. So
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well then, what we have first is I'll open the public hearing. This is John McGuire Jr., Mark Rominsky, agent, 42 Aqueduct Road, special use permit and subdivision plat approval, continuation from October 13th, 2014, of conduct of combined public hearing on applications for special use permit, conventional subdivision, under Town Code Chapter 125, zoning, and preliminary subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land, for authorization of creation of 3 residential building lots in an existing house lot from the entirety of a combined 6.216 acre parcel in the rural countryside, RC5, and neighborhood infill overlay district, being an unlisted action under seeker. This matter is subject to a proceeding before the ZBA on November 5th, 2005, and I guess they will then be making their decision on, well, this Wednesday. They should be taking action on it. So what I would like to do is ask for a motion to continue this public hearing to our December 15th meeting at 6:35, at which time we should absolutely be able to finally take action on approving this subdivision.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Is there some way we can get this to flow within the town of Rhinebeck in a logical form?
Exactly.
This applicant has been here
I
X
know.
number of times.
I know.
He's brought us a consultant with him. This consultant, I'm sure, is not here for free, and it's unfortunate for the applicant, and it's going to happen again.
I agree.
And again, and again.
And I don't know-
Something should be done to fix the flow so it's logical. It's not.
Well, I don't know what we can do about that. Frankly, I know the planning board, there's nothing the planning board can do about it.
I say, but I mean, the government of the town of Rhinebeck should be able to do something about it.
Well, hopefully what we can do is possibly some way of assuring that applications to the ZBA and to the planning board, if variances are needed, arrive at the same time. So that, and we do try to do that to the extent we possibly can, to do everything concurrently. I don't quite understand, well, I do kind of know what happened here.
It was a late determination.
There was, yeah.
By the code enforcement officer.
We had a change downstairs and things changed. Yeah. And that sort of kicked things off the rails for a little while. Yeah.
And a policy by the ZBA, and I think generally a policy by the ZBA to not take action on the same night as a public hearing.
That's what they've done in the past.
That's always been the case.
Yeah.
Unlike
Yeah.
the planning board, which on minor matters
We'll always do that.
tries to take action the same evening.
So I think in this case, we did have a change of personnel, which I think is what actually caused the delay here.
The good news in this case is you have no directives to me because you have the draft
Right.
resolution and the draft
Right.
approval resolution and the meeting notes for this evening.
And if you'd like to take it home and read it, just for your, you're more than welcome to do so.
Then maybe you
But I
want
do
me to-
apologize, John, that this is taking so long. It really doesn't. It shouldn't. And,
Thank you, have a nice Thanksgiving, everybody.
yeah, very same to you.
See you before Christmas.
Yes, you will.
You will, but hopefully you won't have to see us here after Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
John. Okay, we have another minute or two before our next public hearing. Did you guys get an agenda?
On the calendar. October 6th is your revision date now on the plan. Is that the October 6th plan? No revision.
You don't think it's
Sure. I didn't get anything.
I think he may have torpedoed that ship. Because Joni didn't do that. So. We're getting there. Nice tie.
That's his Red Hook tie.
Yeah, well, you know, tonight we rate. I'm sorry? It's close. Close enough? Okay. In that case, Our next public hearing, Edward McNally, 379 Slate Quarry Road, subdivision plat, lot line alterations approval, special use permit, and wetland permit. Conduct of combined public hearing on application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land to authorize annexation of a .247 acre portion of lands of Gordon Allen and a 11.95 acre portion of lands of Northern Dutchess Bible Church for consolidation with 6.587 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 district and related applications for special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and wetland permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands in the matter of site work on the lands of McNally in the vicinity of the Crum Elbow Creek and its floodplain. This work involving repair of the existing driveway, access from Slate Quarry Road, excavation of debris and silt, and construction of a dock in an existing pond being an unlisted action under seeker. Take it away.
Good evening. My name is Mark Berminski. I'm a consulting engineer and land surveyor, and I'm here tonight representing Edward and Monique McNally. As mentioned in the public hearing notice, this is a two-part application. I'll first start with the description of the first part, which is the lot line alteration. And so the McNallys currently own property located on the north side of Slate Quarry Road, near its intersection with Mountain View. And the current parcel that they own is about 6.5 acres in size. And this application is to combine two parcels, one on the east side, which is lands of Allen, which is a little less than 1/4 of an acre, and it's this piece right here, along with a larger parcel located on the west side of their property, actually I should say to the west and to the north, a portion of lands owned by Northern Dutchess Bible Church, which is this piece right here. And so all those three pieces, the existing McNally parcel, what's labeled here as parcel B, which is Allen, lands of Allen to be conveyed to McNally, and then parcel A, which is currently lands of Northern Dutchess Bible Church, to be combined with McNally, all to become part and parcel in one single parcel of lands to be owned by McNally. Secondly, the second part of this application is with regard to a special permit for, work that took place on the McNally property. The first part of that work was related to driveway repair. That driveway repair occurred on a section of the driveway that crossed the Crum Elbow Creek. There was some minor disturbance to the Crum Elbow Creek driveway repair, and through conversation with the Town of Rhinebeck zoning enforcement officer, and also this particular part of the application related to conversation and coordination with New York State DEC, because that repair took place over the Crum Elbow Creek. Crum Elbow Creek is a Class A stream, and it's under any disturbance within the bed and banks of that stream require permit by the New York State DEC. On behalf of the McNallys, I contacted Jonathan Russell of the New York State DEC. We've had multiple site visits. The first site visit was with the CEO and Mr. Russell of the DEC to take a look at the work that was done on site, and then a subsequent visit from the New York State DEC to review the remediation work that was done, that was requested by the DEC, and that has since been completed. That remediation work just included some retainment of the driveway adjacent to the Crum Elbow Creek, so that there wouldn't be any wash from the gravel. It was a gravel driveway down into the stream. And then the other item related to the stream is there's an existing pond on the west side of the driveway. There was an outlet structure that was cleaned of debris that was in the bed of the Crum Elbow Creek. That was cleaned out, and DEC requested some materials be removed from the stream bed. All that work's been done to the satisfaction of the DEC. Second item is related to, it would be the Town of Rhinebeck wetlands ordinance. There was some work that was done. There was an existing pond, as I said, located on the west side of the McNally driveway. That pond was excavated and cleaned out. That material was deposited to the west of the pond and on the western portion of the property. And so the action of removing that material from the pond required a permit. As part of the mitigation of that removal of the material, this material now, that this is all the material taken out of the pond, is actually located within 100 feet of the pond or the adjacent area of the town wetland. It's also located in the 100-year floodplain of the Carmelo Creek. So that material is going to be removed and relocated to the north, outside of the 100-foot adjacent area, outside of the 100-year floodplain. It'll be regraded and stabilized. Both areas will be stabilized. This will be regraded, seeded, and mulched and stabilized. Same thing with the material that's going to be removed from the from the pond spoils. That will be revegetated and stabilized. And then finally, there's a small dock that was located within this pond, and the applicant doesn't feel it's a, detriment to that pond, and requesting that small dock remain in the pond. We did have a site visit with members of the planning board and went over and, reviewed all the actions taking place on this property.
All righty. Let me see. Sharon and I did the site visit. Sharon, would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, we went out there, did the site visit. What's been done has been done very well, and we don't really have any issue with it. It's positive, and it's good for the stream. And the dock is fine. It's just a small dock. Every pond should have a little dock.
I would add that the issues that we would have had would have been the ones that DEC has already addressed, and DEC has signed off on them as being appropriate remediation for that situation. So I saw no other issues with this particular project. We also had Ryan and Bill Dowden joined us. I don't know if the CAB has any comment they'd care to make.
Bill Dowden from the CAB. We did attend the site visit with Michael and Sharon and saw that the disturbances that were mentioned were corrected and didn't have any issues. The DEC was satisfied, so the CAB is also satisfied with what corrections have been made.
Thank you, Bill. Have we heard from Dutchess County on this one? Okay, so we have that.
Local concern.
Local concern. Any questions from members of the planning board for members of the public? Any comment or questions? Hearing none. What I have here is I have a draft resolution on the seeker.
Yeah, a couple of minor modifications in both resolutions, the seeker resolution and the local resolution. You'll see in the end of the first, near the end of the first paragraph, and revised to, just eliminate the revised to. The plan is dated October 6, 2014.
Okay.
So get rid of the and revised to.
Okay, very good.
On both resolutions. And in the second resolution, which is on page 8, Michael, in the paragraph, number one paragraph, in the fourth line, change the word addressing to remediation. Explaining in that case that DEC did not require a permit because they basically approved the remediation of a violation.
Okay. Let's see then what I can do with this. Okay, this is a draft seeker resolution. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on a proposed action involving an application by Edward McNally for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land, to authorize the annexation of a .247 acre portion of lands of Gordon Allen and 11.95 acre portion of lands of Northern Dutchess Bible Church for consolidation with a 6.587 acre parcel in the rural countryside, RC5, and water resource protection overlay districts and related applications by Mr. McNally, Mark Grominski, P.E. and L.S. agent, for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and wetland permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands as deemed required by the zoning enforcement officer in the matter of site work on the lands of McNally in the vicinity of the Crum Elbow Creek and its floodplain. This work involving repair of the existing driveway, access from Slate Quarry Road, excavation of debris and silt, and construction of a dock in an existing pond. The first is depicted on a survey map entitled Survey of Lot Line Alteration, Lands of Edward McNally, Gordon Allen, and Northern Dutchess Bible Church, prepared by Robert L. Campbell and dated July 10th, 2014. And the latter subject of a site plan special permit application, Edward McNally, prepared by Mr. Gominski, dated October 6, 2014. One.
And a short EAF.
And a short EAF verified by Mr. Gominski. You're right. Almost missed the good part there. 1, determines upon review of the EAF Part 1 and its own completion of the annexed EAF Part 2, in consideration of both field observations and the criteria for determining significance set forth in Title 6, Part 617.7C, NYCRR, the proposed action as described in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment and thus issues a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. Authorizes the chairman to so execute the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to file the short EAF with negative declaration annotation in the manner set forth within the secret implementing regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12, NYCRR.
In paragraph 1, change the word application to applications.
Applications. Okay. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Second.
I will poll the board. Melody? Sharon?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed, and we will have a resolution of approval for you once we get done with all this other stuff. Okay? All righty. Whoa. I believe we may be in time already. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay, our next public hearing is Dutchess County Ag Society, Mark Grominski, agent. New York State Route 9 North, special use permit, site plan review and approval, and wetlands permit. Conduct of combined public hearing on applications for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands and special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of proposed modifications in the northerly entrance to the Dutchess County Fairgrounds, including related improvements to associated internal roadways such as local improvements required to complement the New York State DOT and New York State DEC permits being an unlisted action under seeker. Mark.
Good evening. I'm Mark Grominski. I'm here representing the Dutchess County Agricultural Society on their application for, it evolves around a revision of the, or addition of the traffic flow related to the Ag Society property. And the main purpose of this application is it's related to construction of a new entrance located, well, I should say, a new permanent entrance located on the north end of their property. For all those who are here and not familiar with it, the fairgrounds is located on the, I guess, southeasterly side of Route 9. It's actually a portion of it located in the village of Rhinebeck, and this particular portion for this application is located in the town of Rhinebeck. And as part of this application, it's also associated with applications to the New York State DOT for this new entrance that's being proposed, which, as I said, it's on the north end. I guess I should step back a little bit and review some of the existing access points for the fairgrounds. There's an access most further south off of Mulberry Street, which has been recently constructed and revised. I shouldn't say constructed, it's been revised. There used to be an island that's been removed and now has a standard a residential street and, highway access. There's the current main entrance, pretty much located in the middle of the property, that's used on a limited basis now for ingress and egress and for some larger vehicle, parking of buses. And then there's an existing access on the north end of the property, which over the last year has been used as a main access for the large events, the Dutchess County Fair and the Sheep and Wool Festival. And so the fairgrounds has taken some time and worked with several of the agencies, Dutchess County, New York State, and the New York State Police, 911, and it's through trial and error have worked out a system that allows for smooth traffic flow along Route 9 and also smooth traffic flow within the fairgrounds itself. The idea is to minimize the amount of vehicle and pedestrian crossing of the vehicles as they enter into the fairgrounds. So the decision has been made to formalize an entrance on the north end of the property. And so with that, the first agency besides this board that the fairgrounds contacted was New York State DOT. And with the development of this access, there were some traffic studies that were done to determine the type of entrance to provide, and also associated with it, it was determined that there was also a need for a turning lane to be established into the fairgrounds if you're heading north along Route 9. So north on Route 9, there's now going to be a turning lane that'll be constructed within actually where the existing shoulder is now, and then a new shoulder will be added to that, which should end just short of where all the maple trees are near the fence. And so there's going to be a turning lane constructed, and then an island entrance that'll be constructed that will allow traffic coming from the north to enter in via the turning lane, and then also traffic heading south into the fairgrounds, they'll be able to turn in and enter the fairgrounds through this new entrance. It was also investigated whether to provide a turning lane heading south, and it was determined that there's some existing conditions that make that difficult and costly to do. There's a bridge for stream crossing located just to the north of this entrance, and the distance between the opening for the bridge is not wide enough to allow for multiple lanes to be constructed. So it's been determined in discussion with the DOT that traffic will be directed as it is now for the fair, and also for large events, the Sheep and Wool Festival. There'll be emergency services there, state troopers, and it'll be toned off for traffic heading south to also enter into this into the new entrance. So an application has been developed with New York State DOT, and that's being finalized now for review and approval by the DOT. Also, in doing this, it's New York State DEC needed to be contacted because there's state wetlands located on the northwest side of this property. It's actually right near the intersection, and the state wetlands extend easterly into the property, and then actually through the fairgrounds, and it crosses where the existing access road is and where the access road is going to be modified under this application. So that application, DEC has been contacted, met at the site, wetlands field flagged, and mitigation has been discussed with the proposed improvements that are related, that fall within the New York State DEC adjacent area, and those include simply widening of the existing roadway. Existing roadway is about 28 feet wide, and it's going to be widened another 14 feet, another lane width. The entrance has to be obviously modified to allow for some curbing. A new main gate's going to be installed, and some revision of the existing lighting at that entrance. And then finally, in addition to that, there's an existing crossing of a small stream and drainage area that's on the fairgrounds, and it drains to the north into this wetland, and that's now state wetland. So that, and it's with a single culvert crossing. That culvert's going to be it's a corrugated metal pipe. That corrugated metal pipe's going to be removed and replaced with a box culvert to span not only the existing stream bed, what is now an existing wetland. That application is being developed and refined with New York State DEC. And then finally, with that, there's this proposed roadway is going to extend, and that width is going to be extended and then into a existing gravel section here, and this gravel section will now be paved as part of this application. And finally, there's some existing poles that are located on the south side of this entrance. Those poles are going to be replaced. They're existing wooden poles, and they're going to be replaced with, in-kind, with metal poles.
And the lines will be buried, aren't they? With the lines, are the lines to be buried from those poles, or will they still be overhead?
I'm not sure, Melody. I'll have to find out.
I thought they were going underground, but I don't know.
They can. It's all the state wetland is located, or the adjacent areas on the other side. They could easily be buried underground.
All right, I know that, I do believe the submission of the complementary applications have been given to us. We have all that material.
We have a status report on those applications, right?
Right. And I believe there was a discussion with the ZEO about the floodplain development permit, and that was found not to be necessary because of elevations, as I recall.
Okay, good.
So that's not necessary. Woody and Sharon did the field visit. Who would like to go first?
Jeez.
Always the gentleman.
Yeah, we did the site visit. I mean, they've really done an excellent job preserving the wetland and the stream, and the trees around the stream, and up at the crossing. I think, one tree was coming down?
Actually, there are 2 trees that have to be removed.
But they're saving trees, which is, so it keeps the natural vista there. It's a nice little spot. People didn't realize there was so much water down there.
Woody, anything to add?
No, I just think that the whole entrance approach is a sound approach based on everything that's going on with the traffic flow in the fairgrounds during that crazy week. So I think it's the right thing to do, and they're approaching it very well. So I think it'll be a fine project.
Does the CAB have a report?
Robert Donaldson, Conservation Advisory Board. I attended the site visit with Woody, other members of the Planning Board, and Mr. Graminski last week, and the CAB joins Woody and Sharon with your positive comments about this project. CAB does not have any issues or concerns with it. However, we do have a request. It was brought to our attention that on the roadway heading up to this area right here, that 2 young, healthy trees are going to be removed, and we're asking that the Agricultural Society consider planting 4 trees in order to accommodate the taking down of those 2 young, healthy trees. I'm not an arborist, but I do believe that those 2 trees are shagbark hickory trees, and it was brought to my attention recently that those trees are natural roosting trees for the Indiana or brown bat, and we're asking that the Agricultural Society consider planting the appropriate number of bat roosting boxes. If that tree is, those 2 trees are shagbark hickory, that they install the appropriate number of nesting or roosting boxes in order to mitigate for the loss of those trees. That's it.
Thank you. And the county has said they don't care? To put it bluntly. Okay, any questions from members of the planning board for Mark? Comments from the public? Yes.
Just a couple of questions. You mentioned something about new lighting at this...
Joe, if you could come up to the microphone, that...
It's not new lighting, it's replacement lighting.
Joseph Gelb received a notice on this. You mentioned new lighting would go up. Will that be on all the time, and how will that work with the glow and...
Well, as the lighting is mainly for the fair, so it's as it is now. There'll be, the replacement of the wooden poles that exist on the south side of the access road. Those have been replaced, and then the pole at the entrance, the location needs to be revised due to the entrance change. So there'll still be a light there, but the location will change. Lighting is only for the 5 to 6 days a year.
Oh, okay, so lights won't burn all the time.
It's only intended for the fair, and if it gets into the nighttime hours for any of the events, and the only events that it really affects are the fair or the Sheep and Wool Festival, and that's it.
Also, the other time that it's on is for the Northern Duchess Hospital Gala event, and they need those lights for safety
You're going to take
reasons.
vacation that week, Joe.
That's it, that's the only time those lights will be on.
And the poles will be 15 feet high. Isn't that the standard in our
Those are higher
zoning law?
down there.
What?
Those are higher down there.
Higher than that. The request is to replace in kind. So it's a replacement of the existing poles.
Okay, I don't know if that's allowed or not, whether you can go over 15 feet. That's...
I believe since it's a replacement of existing material, I believe it is permitted. But we can check on that.
For the code enforcement officer.
Yeah, that would be something that the ZEO would have to speak to.
Ultimately, when you're done, you're not adding more light.
No.
You're moving 1 or 2 out of necessity.
Moving one.
All right, moving 1, and the other ones are just going to be replaced with something that's a little bit more durable.
That's correct.
And the thing that I got indicated you're going to bring some fill in.
That might have been...
That's the Williams
That's the
application.
next application.
That's the next one.
Okay, that's not...
Yeah.
Okay.
And the light that's being changed at the corner,
The light is being changed at the corner due to the revision of the entrance.
right, but the significance of, the importance of that light is that that's the light that's providing light for the safety enforcement officers who are
That's
working there.
correct. Yes, it is.
So it's critical to their safety.
Yes, it is.
Other public comments? Yes.
Hi, my name is Rick Tejan. I live on Wine Coop Lane, which I'm on the other side of the power lines that feed up from the fairgrounds. And one concern that I have as a resident property owner is the idea of pushing more traffic onto the fairgrounds property, which I think will increase the noise level for any surrounding neighbors. And I was just curious if there's been any impact studies with regard to additional noise, because obviously the goal is to make this new roadway the primary access point for all major events.
It is. It's actually been, this access has been used for over a year. It's just now formalizing this with the DOT. So there's no additional traffic.
But this was a non-conforming use. It's something the fairgrounds just started doing in order to accommodate traffic concerns.
Well, what do you mean, I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, I mean, they took the exit and they started using it as an entranceway, right? So it's being used beyond its initial design.
Actually, I can perhaps speak to that. Actually, there was never any designation in terms of any site plan the town has within the town of entrance or exit. So the only change would be if there's actually a physical alteration of that feature, something of that sort. And that was
Right.
not done to change the entrance from the southern entrance to that northern entrance and then use that as an exit. So from that standpoint, there was nothing that they had. That's why they're here now, because they actually want to make the physical changes to this particular access point.
Right.
And that's why they're before the planning board now.
So,
There's no real change in the amount
In
of traffic
capacity.
volume.
except you're doing two-way traffic at this point, right? Entrance and exit?
There's two-way traffic here, and there's also two-way traffic at the existing,
Right.
at the existing main entrance. There'll be, there's two-way traffic at different times on there. So the traffic volume remains the same as it always has. Now it's the goal of the Ag Society is to optimize the traffic flow, not only on Route 9, but on the property. So it's, I would think, a benefit to all the adjoining neighbors to have traffic moving in and out
Quickly and smoothly.
more smoothly.
I would think it's a benefit. If anything, it's going to,
Route 9.
when it gets backed up on Route 9, you get the horns and everything
No,
else.
no, I mean, I fully understand the backup on Route 9, and most of us who know better avoid Route 9 during
Yeah.
fair season anyhow. So I mean, I perfectly get the backup in the Sheep and Wool Festival. My
Can you see the
concern,
light from where you are?
I can hear the noise,
You hear
and the
it.
noise has progressively gotten worse over the last couple of years, and you can hear it coming right over the hill. And again, my concern is, if, has there been a study in terms of noise impact with traffic, and any impact that's going to have on surrounding property owners, both, direct and indirectly related to this?
Well, unrelated to this application, because I was involved, as I mentioned before, right here is the town of Rhinebeck, Village of Rhinebeck, town of Rhinebeck. So the Ag Society has spent the last few years with the Village of Rhinebeck developing a zoning, a change to the zoning ordinance for the Village of Rhinebeck. And included in that was a more detailed definition of the events that were allowed by the fair and required permitting. And also included with that is a noise ordinance. So it has been considered for the overall property. It's not particular to this application, but it has been a consideration, and the Fairgrounds has, and it's been adopted by the Village of Rhinebeck, has worked diligently with the Village of Rhinebeck to alleviate any concerns of the village residents and the adjoining owners.
So, but that has not been part of this application process, and so there's been no additional traffic study in terms of noise impact, number of vehicles that are expected to use this roadway.
There was a traffic study that was done in order, that I mentioned earlier, along Route 9, that was required by the
DOT.
New York State DOT
Right.
with regard to development of the, one of the aspects of it is development of the turning lane
Right.
for this entrance. So there has been a traffic study that's been done.
So I guess I'm still unclear as to the noise impact with this change in the roadway. So that hasn't been done as part of this.
It hasn't been done, but
Okay.
once again, I feel there's no change. There's no change. This particular action or application makes no change
Yeah.
to what exists at the fairgrounds now. It's just,
An informal adoption of the one roadway to use for two-way traffic.
that's correct.
Beyond that, the town does have a noise ordinance, and, which sets decibel levels at the edge of properties within residential districts, commercial districts. So if it's felt that there is indeed excessive noise, it's a little difficult, granted, because our enforcement people are all part-time, but you should contact the zoning enforcement officer about that. I think also the village police department actually is the ones who does the noise, goes out and checks and see if there is some sort of violation of the noise code, be it in the village or the town.
Isn't it at like midnight, though, during Fair Week?
I don't believe it doesn't specify in the law any difference between Fair Week or regular.
They change decibels after 10 PM.
There are changes. It does go down throughout the town at a certain time, between morning and evening, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public or questions? Anything else from the planning board? Okay, I have another seeker resolution I could read here.
Delete also, as in the case of the prior application, matter, delete the and revise to October 6th.
And, okay, to the November, dated October 6, 2014, and from and revised to November, cross that out.
And cross the and revise to November.
Okay. Okay. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on a proposed action involving applications by Dutchess County Agricultural Society, Inc., Mark Graminsky, PELS agent, for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120 Wetlands and special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 Zoning in the matter of proposed modifications in the northerly entrance to the Dutchess County Fairgrounds, situate on the east side of New York State Route 9 North in the rural countryside RC5 and Water Resource Protection Overlay Districts, including related improvements to associated internal roadways, all is depicted on a site plan, Dutchess County Ag Society, Inc., prepared by Mark Graminsky, dated October 6, 2014, and otherwise described in the applications and other supporting information, including short EAF prepared by Mr. Graminsky, with the proposed action having been classified by the Planning Board as an unlisted action under seeker for which coordinated environmental quality review and with other involved agencies is neither required nor being undertaken, and such local approvals acknowledged to be complementary to required New York State DOT and New York State DEC permits. 1, determines upon review of the EAF Part 1 verified by Mr. Graminsky and its own completion of annexed EAF Part 2 in consideration of field observations, input from New York State DEC, and the criteria for determining significance set forth in Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR. The proposed action as described in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment and thus issues a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chairman to so execute the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to file the short EAF with negative declaration annotation in the manner set forth within the seeker implementing regulations, Title 6, Part 617.12 NYCRR. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? I will poll the board. Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Could I hear a motion to close the public hearing? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And we have yet another approval resolution for you to come up later. Okay, our next public hearing, which,
Jeremy's not here.
okay, I'll read the notification for it, and then we will move on, since apparently the applicant's not here. The next scheduled public hearing is the Southlands Foundation and Eric and Andrea Columbell, Jeremy Joyce agent, New York State Route 9 South at Southlands Drive, special use permit and site plan. Conduct of combined public hearing on applications for special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of a proposed cooperative project by 2 adjacent landowners to undertake a culvert repair, dam, pond improvement on the Southland Foundation property in the rural agricultural RA10 and environmental resource overlay districts, and the town's LWRA being a type 2 action under seeker. The applicant and applicant's representative is not here, so we will just hold this one for a little while, and we will move right along. Lands of BBW Realty LLC, New York State Route 9 North, special use permit and site plan review and approval. Conduct of combined public hearing on applications for special use permit, major excavation, and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of the deposit of more than 200 cubic yards of fill within a limited portion of the 11.364 parcel in the Community Business South District, being an unlisted action under seeker. Mark.
Good evening. I'm Mark Graminsky. I'm here representing BBW Realty LLC regarding application for site plan special permit with regard to major excavation. BBW owns, it's also Sandy Williams, owns property on the easterly side of Williams Lumber. This is Route 9 here. Williams Lumber is located here, and this application is for the property immediately to the north of that. The reason that this application is being made is BBW Realty LLC accepted some fill from the hospital construction, and notified by the CEO of the town of Rhinebeck that a permit for major excavation is required if greater than 200 cubic yards of fill, or 200 cubic yards of fill is either excavated or imported onto a particular property. This was probably between 700 to 800 cubic yards of fill. So this plan shows the location of the fill, and the mitigation is to regrade the fill in the area, in the general area where it was imported, and it would be stabilized, seeded, and mulched. That would be if the fill was actually located on the property now. A day prior to the field visit with the planning board, I spoke to Sandy Williams, and the hospital needed the fill, so they actually came and took the fill off of the property. So our field visit was uneventful, and
I thought they had graded it.
One of the better ones was done.
it was, yeah, it was.
Nice job, Mark.
But would like to proceed with this application in the event that the hospital decides that they need to put fill back at this location of the property owned by BBW.
Thank you, Mark. Once again, Sharon and Woody had the pleasure of doing this one. Woody, if you want to lead off on this one?
Well, it was a very difficult one. We looked and we didn't see anything, so we went home. That was the extent of it. Mark explained the situation, and I think it's a sound thing to leave it open because plans change, events change.
Sharon, anything to add?
No, it was flat.
No, it's fine. Mr. Donaldson?
Bob Donaldson, Conservation Advisory Board. Once again, CAB joins Woody and Sharon in their comments about the site visitation. The only thing we would ask is that instead of grass seed, it was recommended that they plant flower seeds, and that way we cut down on maintenance and most likely make it harder for the hospital to ever try to reclaim that soil again. Right? That's it.
Thank you. Any questions, members of the planning board, for Mark? Any public comment or questions?
I have a quick comment. I mean, technically, regardless of whether it's there now or not, they're still required to have this
Yes.
permit anyway. So really, it's not a choice in planning.
Right.
It's been moved. Now, on the other side, they're in the village, so they're not subject to...
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Correct.
So this is just a matter of approving this after the fact, period?
Right.
Okay.
Well, it would have been approving it because it's placed there, and then mitigation would be to regrade it. Now it's been removed.
But it might come back.
So you're still going to go along with a little bit of mitigation anyway and fix what was disturbed?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Surprisingly enough,
Joe,
do you want to say something else?
No, that was the reason that was the other notice that we received.
Oh, okay. If I can ask a question, on the fairground, it sounded like it was approved.
Well, the seeker resolution has been approved.
Oh, okay. I would just request that when final approval is given, that you include something that Mark has represented. The lights will be turned off except for the major events at night.
Yeah,
So
that's-
when you
Okay.
do that
I
effect.
think he's comfortable with that as one of the conditions of approval. Okay. All righty. Let's see if we get through this one. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board here.
Michael, a couple more
Uh-oh.
modifications, please. Again, delete the and revise too in the first paragraph. In the number one paragraph at the bottom of that page, after NYS, insert DEC. And
I think we're on the one for
The draft
the
secret?
BBW. I'm going to do the draft seeker one.
oh, you're doing BBW?
Right.
I thought you were going back to in the order that these matters were heard. Okay.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry.
This is just draft so we can close the public hearing.
Okay. Oh, you're doing seeker on.
Yes, on the dirt pile that's not there.
Okay, you're okay as written.
The mystery pile. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows in the matter of proposed action involving applications by BBW Realty LLC, Mark Gominski, PELS agent, for special use permit, major excavation, and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of a deposit of more than 200 cubic yards of fill within a limited portion of an 11.364 acre parcel in the Community Business South District, all is depicted on a site plan special permit application, BBW Realty LLC, prepared by Mr. Gominski and dated October 6, 2014, and otherwise described in the applications and other supporting information, including short EAF Part 1 prepared by Mr. Gominski, with the proposed action having been classified by the Planning Board as an unlisted action under secret, for which coordinated environmental quality review is neither required nor being undertaken. 1, determines upon review of the EAF Part 1 verified by Mr. Gominski and its own completion of the annexed EAF Part 2 in consideration of both field observation and the criteria for determining significance set forth at Title 6, Part 617.7C NYCRR, the proposed action as described in the application and being an unlisted action will cause no potential significant adverse impact on the environment and thus issues a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, deeming an environmental impact statement to not be required and stating such will not be prepared. 2, authorizes the chairman to so execute the short EAF and directs the planning board clerk to file the short EAF with negative declaration annotation in the manner set forth within the seeker implementing regulations, Title 6.61712 NYCRR. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So be it.
Could I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Full board? Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And we will once again have for you at a later time this evening. Oh, good idea. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. And we will still have an approval resolution for you at a later date, a later time on this date. Okay. Our final public hearing was with Astor Courts. It turned out that the notification for the newspaper did not happen in a timely manner. So what I'm going to ask the planning board to do is to reschedule this public hearing for our December 15th meeting. I think that would be at 6:40, at which time both a presentation by the architects and the people undertaking that project will also be part of that public hearing process. So, could I hear what am I asking for now? A motion, yes.
Motion to postpone until December 15th?
And reschedule for December 15th at 6:40, yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. At this point, has the agent or applicant for Southlands come in yet?
No.
Apparently not. Anyone hear about the Rhinecliff Waterfront Improvement Project? They will be back on December 15th. There was a number of things that have to be done before we can make a recommendation to the town board that we're going to help see them through. We do have a copy of their entire plan in the clerk's office for anyone, and I'm looking because I figure that's why you're here, to take a look at it. And
You can stay and listen to the other stuff too, though, it's fun.
but I just realized you came in a little late and you didn't hear that little piece. Okay. All right. Now we can go through a whole slew of resolutions. I think we have one from Mr. McNally.
Do we need to read them now?
We don't need to read them now.
Because we have
Other
we moved
people?
into new business.
Okay.
Can we do that,
Well,
Art?
we can go to new business, can't we?
You go in, yeah, you can go any place you want to.
I mean, I think
Oh,
if as long as
really?
we've
I can go
got,
home?
as long as
Okay.
we've got people here
Right, for
under
the
new
other-
business,
Yeah,
why not
just,
move them
yeah,
along and
I
leave
agree.
Later in the meeting.
leave the reading
Yeah.
for
three
later?
resolutions.
Yeah, don't let me forget, because, well, I will. Okay. Next item of business, Carolyn Marks Blackwood, 64 Grinnell
Has his
Street.
hand up.
What? What's his hand up?
So we're going to do the resolutions at the end.
Is that all right?
Do you have to be here for
You don't
those
have to be here.
resolutions?
I'll give you a copy.
Know what they're approved.
You can call in.
I can call you tonight when I get home at like midnight.
It's not going to take that long.
I don't care. I just thought it was more.
Let's do them in order of, as the agenda and get them out.
Get 'em out of the way?
Send Mr. Kwiatkowski home.
Okay, Mark.
McNally resolution
sick
is on
bed.
page 7.
Yeah.
Delete the and revised,
Okay.
and you've seen the first paragraph, delete the and revised line.
And revised.
On page 8, numbered paragraph 1, change the word addressing to remediating.
Okay, that I got.
Okay, and that's,
We're good to go?
stands as written.
All righty.
I'll time you.
3.5 pages, 2.5 pages.
But who's counting?
No, who's counting? I'm counting. All right. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on an application by Edward McNally for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land, to authorize the annexation of a .247 acre portion of lands of Gordon Allen and a 11.95 acre portion of lands of Northern Dutchess Bible Church for consolidation with a 6.587 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 and water resource protection overlay districts, and related applications by Mr. McNally, Mark Rominski, PERS agent, for special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and wetland permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands as deemed required by the zoning enforcement officer in the matter of site work on the lands of McNally in the vicinity of the Crum Elbow Creek and its floodplain. This work involving repair of the existing driveway access from Slate Quarry Road, excavation of debris and silt, and construction of a dock in an existing pond, the first as depicted on a survey map entitled Map of Survey for Lot Line Alteration, Lands of Edward McNally, Gordon Allen, and Northern Dutchess Bible Church, prepared by Robert L. Campbell, L.S., and dated July 10th, 2014, and the latter subject of a site plan special use permit application, Edward McNally, prepared by Mr. Gominski, dated October 6, 2014, the proposed action being the subject of a negative declaration determined of non-significance heretofore issued by the Planning Board. First, in consideration of the application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land, approves the application for subdivision plat approval and authorizes the chairman to stamp and sign the subdivision plat for the above described lot line alteration, lands of Edward McNally, Gordon Allen, and Northern Dutchess Bible Church, upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the below conditions and/or requirements within 180 calendar days of the Planning Board's adoption of this resolution. 1. Stamping of the subdivision plat as non-jurisdictional subdivision or for filing purposes only by the Dutchess County Health Department. 2. Submission of subdivision plat drawings in the number and form specified within Town Code, Chapter 101, including thereon all required stamps, seals, and certifications. 3. Payment of other outstanding fees and/or reimbursable amounts due the Town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application under Town Code, Chapter 101, subdivision of land and associated town fee schedule and related escrow agreement. 4. Submission of draft consolidation or merger deeds whereby the above-cited annexation parcels will transfer to Mr. McNally from Gordon Allen and Northern Dutchess Bible Church, be consolidated with the present lands of McNally, thus creating a single parcel of 18.784 acres. Said draft deeds to be first submitted to the Planning Board for review as to their adequacy and then recorded in the Dutchess County Clerk's office immediately upon filing of the approved subdivision plat, and transfer the annexation parcels to Mr. McNally, thus obviating what otherwise would be the creation of freestanding non-compliant parcels. Second, in consideration of the application for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning to authorize proposed work within the WRO district. 1. Acknowledges contact has been maintained with New York State DEC by the project engineer and town zoning enforcement officer, with the state agency approving the corrective work which is either has or remains to be undertaken, remediating a DEC cited violation, in which case the issuance of a New York State DEC permit is not applicable. 2. Determines neither the use nor proposed work can contravene any of the general standards for all special use permit uses set forth in Chapter 125-67 therein. 3. Further determines both the use and proposed work to be in conformance with the specific standards set forth in Section 125-54C therein for work within designated stream corridors such as the Crum Elbow Creek. 4. Grants the above-cited special use permit pursuant to Chapter Code 125 zoning and subject to the following prerequisite conditions and requirements. A. Payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the Town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application as set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. 2. Securing of site plan approval for the proposed work. 3. Securing of wetlands permit as pertinent to a portion of the proposed work. Third, in consideration of the application for the site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, 1. Waives any further site plan requirements as might be construed to be set forth in Section 125-75C2 of the Town Code. 2, approves the application for site plan approval pursuant to Town Code Chapter 125 and authorizes the chairman to so note on the site plan submission upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the following conditions and/or requirements within 6 calendar months of the adoption of this resolution. A, payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application is set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. B, securing a wetlands permit as pertinent to a portion of the proposed work. Fourth, in consideration of the application for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120 Wetlands, grants the requested wetlands permit. In taking this action, the planning board further authorizes the town zoning enforcement officer to issue a certificate of occupancy or equivalent for the work upon his determination of the adequacy of the completed work, determination by New York State DEC that all required corrective work has been satisfactorily completed, and compliance with any other pertinent codes, laws, rules, or regulations within his purview. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Silly question. Isn't there a rule that we have in our zoning that says either a representative to the two pieces of the land we're talking about consolidating are supposed to be here, or a letter of intent?
No, they don't have to be here. Their names all had to be on the letter of the certification.
They were
party to
Oh,
this.
okay.
They were on
All
the
right.
initial application submitted by Mr. Campbell.
That's all.
Right, all we needed here was actually their representative. Well, we didn't really, yeah, we needed him, okay. I will poll the board.
Actually, the applicant is here today.
Hi. Okay, I'll poll the board. Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
And I vote aye. 1 down, 2 to go. I am going to
The Hague Society.
Dutchess County, yes.
This is the one I started modifying.
Uh-oh.
You deleted the and revised too.
Yes.
And I did.
Okay. And at the bottom of that page, insert DEC after NYS. And in this case, as you move to the end of the resolution, draft resolution, there are 2 additional conditions that you might want to add.
Okay.
Right now, there's an ABC. D would be to require landscape improvements to address comments offered by the CAB this evening. The second would be some provision to address the point that Mr. Gelb raised about the lighting. That could be simply with the understanding that the lighting at this particular, at the entrance will only be employed during events at the fairgrounds, and not otherwise illuminated.
That's correct.
When I get to that point, I'll request assistance. Okay. Okay. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board acts on applications by Dutchess County Agricultural Society, Inc., Mark Kaminsky, PELS agent, for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120, Wetlands, and special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125, Zoning, in the matter of proposed modifications in the northerly entrance to the Dutchess County Fairgrounds, situate on the east side of New York State Route 9 North in the rural countryside RC5 and Water Resource Protection Overlay Districts, including related improvements to associated internal roadways, all as depicted on a site plan Dutchess County Agricultural Society, Inc., prepared by Mark Kaminsky, PE and LS, dated October 6, 2014, and otherwise described in the applications with the local approvals acknowledged to be complementary to required New York State DOT commercial entrance and New York State DEC joint application work in area adjacent to designated freshwater wetlands permits, and the proposed action being subject to a negative declaration, determination non-significance, heretofore issued by the Planning Board. In consideration of the application for wetland permit under Town Code Chapter 120, Wetlands, acknowledges New York State DEC has asserted upon field examination its regulatory control over the entirety of the wetland from the west side of New York State Route 9 into the fairgrounds parcel, thus making work within this wetland or its buffer regulated area subject to New York State DEC permitting, and thus exempt from permitting under Town Code Chapter 120. 2. Acknowledges New York State DEC has not asserted upon field examination its regulatory control over the small pond on the north side of the existing access drive near the existing stream wetland crossing, thus leaving this pond and its 100-foot buffer subject of town permitting requirements under Town Code Chapter 120. 3. Determines the proposed work within the 100-foot buffer of this pond will have a minimal, if any, effect on this town-designated wetland area. 4. In consideration thereof, grants the requested wetland permit subject to the securing of site plan approval prior to undertaking the proposed work. In consideration of the application for a special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning to authorize work within the WRO district, 1, determines neither the use nor the proposed work contravene any of these general standards for all special use permits set forth in Section 12567 therein. Excuse me. Further determines both the use and proposed work to be in conformance with the specific standards set forth in Section 12554C therein for work within stream corridors. 3, grants the above-cited special use permit pursuant to Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and subject to the following prerequisite conditions and/or requirements. A, payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due to the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application as set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. B, securing of site plan approval for the proposed work. In consideration of the application for site plan review and approval, 1, waives any further site plan requirements as might be construed to be set forth in the Section 125-75C2 of the Town Code.
I'll pop in here, Michael. Approves the application for site plan approval pursuant to Town Code Chapter 125 and authorizes the chairman to so note on the site plan submission, subject to the understanding lighting at the modified entrance will be illuminated only during the conduct of events at the fairgrounds and upon the applicant's satisfaction of each of the following conditions and/or requirements within 6 calendar months of the adoption of this resolution.
Don't we already have very specific language as to the use of the lighting and everything at the fairgrounds?
No, we don't.
The village didn't go through all of that?
Well, the village might, but this is in the town, so the village
So
doesn't
those
apply.
rules wouldn't apply to...
No.
Okay.
No, it wouldn't. A, securing of New York State DOT commercial entrance permit. B, securing of New York State DEC joint application work in area adjacent to designated freshwater wetlands permit. C, payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application as set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. And D,
Landscape improvements to address comments offered by the Conservation Advisory Council in its comments at public hearing.
okay. Could I hear a motion to approve? Oh, wait a minute, not done yet.
Got another paragraph there.
I have another paragraph. In taking this action, the planning board further authorizes the town zoning enforcement officer to issue a certificate of occupancy or equivalent for the improvement upon his determination of the adequacy of the completed work, determination by both New York State DOT and New York State DEC as the adequate completion of the work, and satisfaction of any other pertinent codes, laws, rules, regulations within his purview. Okay, now could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? I will poll the board. Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. Ooh, 2 down, 1 to go. Oh, this one's mercifully short. Okay. All righty.
Your meeting, yes,
Yep.
as written.
All right. And short. I like it. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on the application of BBW Realty LLC, Mark Kaminsky, PE and LS, agent, for special use permit, major excavation, and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning in the matter of a deposit of more than 200 cubic yards of fill within a limited portion of an 11.364 acre parcel in the Community Business South District. All is depicted on a site plan special permit application, BBW Realty Inc., prepared by Mr. Kaminsky and dated October 6, 2014, and otherwise described in the applications and other supporting information, including short EAF Part 1, prepared by Mr. Kaminsky, being a proposed action subject of a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, heretofore issued by the Planning Board. In consideration of the application for a special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning to authorize the deposition of more than 200 cubic yards of fill, which by definition constitutes major excavation. 1, determines neither the deposition nor associated grading of the fill at the location depicted on the site plan affects either local, state, or federally protected or otherwise designated environmental resources. 2, further determines that neither the deposition nor associated grading of the fill at the location depicted on the site plan contravenes any of the general standards for all special use permits set forth in Section 125-67 therein. Further determines that neither deposition, I hope that's the right way to say that, nor associated grading of the fill at the location depicted on the site plan contravenes any of the specific standards for major excavation set forth in Section 125-68NN therein. 4, grants the above-cited special use permit pursuant to Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and subject to the following prerequisite conditions and/or requirements. A, payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the Town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application as set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. B, securing of site plan approval for the proposed work. In consideration of the application for site plan review and approval, 1, waives any further site plan requirements as might be construed to be set forth within Section 125-75C2 of the Town Code. 2, approves the application for site plan approval pursuant to Town Code Chapter 125 zoning and authorizes the chairman to so note on the site plan upon the application's satisfaction of the following condition and/or requirement within 6 calendar months of the adoption of this resolution. Payment of any outstanding fees or reimbursable amounts due the town of Rhinebeck with respect to the submission, review, and processing of this application is set forth in the town's fee schedule and executed escrow agreement. In taking this action, the planning board further authorizes the town zoning enforcement officer to issue a certificate of occupancy or equivalent for the fill and associated grading work upon his determination of the adequacy of the completed work and satisfaction of any other pertinent codes, laws, rules, or regulations within his purview. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second. Good. Any modifications, amendments, or discussion? Hearing none, I will poll the board. Richard?
Aye.
Woody?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
Melody?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. You can go home, I think. Can you go
Bye.
home? Let me just check the rest of the agenda here. Yeah, I think you're free.
Sure you don't want to stay?
You couldn't pick up a couple more jobs?
All righty. Take care, Mark. Thank you. Okay. We're now on to regular business, new business. These will be new applications. All right. Carolyn Marks Blackwood, 64 Grinnell Street, certificate of removal or demolition, special use permit, site plan, and subdivision plat. Conduct of sketch plan conference, initial presentation of applications for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land to merge 2 parcels, a total of 0.61 acres, an application for certificate of removal or demolition, special use permits, and site plan approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning to remove the 1,030 square foot 1997 addition to her single-family dwelling and replace it with a larger addition, resulting in a net increase of 637 square feet to 2,962 square feet, and the undertaking of related site improvements. All is located within the Rhinecliff Hamlet and Rhinecliff Overlay Districts, the Hudson River National Historic Landmarks District, and the town's LWRA, and lying within 1,000 feet of the Hudson River. Planning Board review for completeness and processing as may be timely under Town Code and Seeker. This matter is subject to a forthcoming proceeding before the Zoning Board of Appeals. To whom, George?
Shall we need a presentation of any sort?
Take it away.
I'm George Rodenhausen from Rodenhausen Shaw, representing the applicant, and Steve Mentions here also, the architect on the project. I just want to say very clearly that what we are presenting tonight, or giving to you tonight in application form, is a brand-new project. The former application, which you saw, which went to the ZBA and got a denial on the variance for the gross square footage, has been withdrawn. Every aspect of that application is withdrawn. We have filed new applications for site plan, special permit, subdivision, wetlands, which means development within the Hudson River 1,000-foot corridor, application for certification of demolition. I believe we have all the applications before you. The house being presented to you for the single-family residence involves the same step of withdrawing or taking off from the original house, the 1997 addition, and then adding a connected addition, which in this case is a style much more in keeping with the traditional styles in the guidance documents for the Rhinecliff Overlay District. So we are here tonight to see if you have any questions, and we are asking for completeness determination and requesting you set it down for public hearing.
Great.
Okay, did you want to,
Do you want to go over the drawings?
I think the planning board hasn't seen any of the modified drawings.
I saw them.
You've seen them? You don't need any discussion of anything, no questions about them or anything like that? You feel they're ready to go?
Well, it's just, I mean, we're doing a sketch plan.
Right.
Sketch plan conference is
Right.
where we start.
Right.
Right, just in general terms, the materials are now, I would say, more traditional in the sense that from the street view, the wall facing the street is stone, and the walls all the way around the building are stone, except for the glass. The glass, which is on the street side, is etched, so it's not reflective and not transparent.
A lot bigger.
The roof is metal roof. It's a pitched roof in the style of the main house and the style that's recommended in the guidelines. The house is going to be separated from the addition by a connector hallway, and we think that the one-story addition connected to the two-story original house reflects the grouping of buildings in the district. There's about a 315 square foot increase in impervious surface. The increase, I'm sorry, the size, the final size of the addition connected to the main house, the entire structure, gross square footage is 2,962 square feet, which means that we will be needing an area variance for gross square footage of 662 square feet. We have prepared an application to the zoning board. We expect to be before the zoning board Wednesday night this week for their initial review and hopefully a completeness determination. That's essentially it. Be happy to answer questions about the design.
I know Art in his meeting notes had a few questions here. I don't know if I should just...
I can go through the...
Go through those?
I'll go through the questions, some of which are perhaps major points and some of which may not be. And then a couple of questions regarding planning board procedure or planning board policy that we'll get to.
These are questions based on your review?
This is my review.
Okay.
My review of the submission, which was, obviously normally requested of the board and specifically requested by Stephen also. Point number one, and Mr. Rodenhausen has reaffirmed this, that all prior applications are withdrawn. So we're starting with a fresh, fresh situation. The first application then is the subdivision plat application, and I think I'm just noting that only 2 of the lots are being combined.
Yeah, he was very specific about that in his letter right here. That the third lot has nothing to do with
Two parcels are being combined.
Right.
In terms of completeness, there is not a surveyor's map attached to that application, as is typically required by the planning board. The matter of the consolidation is only included by note on the site plan drawing, proposed site plan drawing prepared by Robert Murray. But there is no surveyor's map attached to the application for subdivision plat approval. Number 3, the modified proposal is obviously reconfigured, it's downsized, but as Mr. Rodenhausen has acknowledged, the planning board is not in a position to, cannot approve this particular application unless the ZBA were to first grant relief of 662 square feet from the 2,300 square foot standard applicable in the district, or in the RCO district. We'll get to that point later. Mr. Rodenhausen did indicate that he did mention the fact that the application was submitted to the ZBA on October 30th. Copy has been provided to the planning board, and obviously that application has not yet been processed in any way by the ZBA. The materials indicate that an application to the Dutchess County Health Department is pending. It's not part of the current submission. It's projected to be made on or about November 30th, according to the EAF.
We have a letter back from the Dutchess County Health Department indicating that because we're moving from a 3-bedroom to a 3-bedroom house, I didn't mention that before, but there's no increase in bedrooms. They've indicated to us that
that will address that point.
that septic system is grandfathered. I guess Steve is now passing out that letter.
Changes, presents the understanding that the November 30th submission as contemplated in the EAF
Yes.
is not necessary.
Correct.
The application for wetlands permit is not applicable to this proposed work. The proposed work lying within 1,000 feet of the Hudson River is governed by the special permit requirement that's found at section 12540 of Town Code Chapter 125. Therefore, that application that's been submitted for wetlands permit can simply be set aside. There's a reference at some point to section 12554B1. It's actually the applicable reference is to 12540, which is development near streams, rivers, wetlands, and water bodies. That's not a major point, just the fact that in accepting the application, the board should, accepting and noticing, the board should deal with the appropriate provision of the law.
I would only note that the zoning administrator did tell us to use the wetlands application for 125-40.
That's, again, the zoning administrator is new.
No, I understand.
And no, that is not the form. That form only relates to the I believe it's Chapter 118 or whatever the wetlands...
120.
120. Anyway, it's a special permit, George, and you're covered by your application.
We've already made that application, right?
You have submitted a discussion and acknowledged the need for a certificate of removal or demolition. There's no completed application form, but there may not, in fact, be a town form for that particular purpose.
We're told there was not.
There's a little, there's a matter of duplication now that needs to be addressed by either you or certainly addressed by the board. When the town adopted its revised zoning, it incorporated in Section 125 the provisions regarding historic buildings, which is what you've applied under. Those provisions generally mimic an earlier town code chapter 78 called historic buildings. And just to be clear, the planning board references both sections both sections of the code
The town code.
until something happens to eliminate that duplicity that currently exists. Beyond that, in general, I found the applications, including the supporting information, the full EAF, the coastal form, and the stormwater management design report to be adequate at this point in the process. I did note that while the stormwater management report has been submitted, there is indication that the stormwater management layout will not be available it will be provided in the coming weeks. Therefore, it is not yet ready for review by the planning board engineer. While the existing site plan and the proposed site plan bear the stamp and signature of a licensed design professional, neither the proposed landscape plan nor the building plans and elevations are stamped and signed. And that's normally a routine requirement of this board. I did not also see, and it may exist, I did not see any record of review of the submission by the ZEO as required under the code.
Right. I must admit, I haven't seen that either. I don't know if Ron's done that or what.
The more important consideration, I think, is one of policy and procedure by this board. The application subject to that is a little bit of tweaking and modifications. I believe are acceptable. They may not be absolutely complete, but they're certainly adequate and acceptable for purposes of initial review. The policy issue, however, for the planning board is the planning board has routinely taken the position that if an approval by this board has to be preceded by a grant of relief by the ZBA, that this board does not process an application for approval by this board until the application for variance has at least been accepted accepted and processed by the ZBA. In this particular case, that has yet to occur. Conceivably, it will occur as quickly as this Wednesday evening. I know that this project's been around in some form for some period of time, and thought that there might be a middle ground if the board wanted to proceed, and that would be that the board would proceed conditionally at this point in time to accept and process the applications subject to the ZBA actually accepting the application for area variance on Wednesday evening. If they don't accept, if they don't accept the application at that point in time, then your actions in terms of scheduling of a hearing,
An informal adoption of the one road.
referrals, et cetera, would be deferred.
Okay.
I think that's a middle ground, and it doesn't it doesn't cause the board to depart from its longstanding policy.
Yes,
For me.
the only two questions I have was, where did Joan go? That's my third question.
George, do you want a copy of everything he just said?
Until Joan comes back.
It's right there.
Has anyone on the board seen a letter from Ron, the zoning enforcement officer, pertaining, because
No.
he's supposed to,
You're supposed to have that in order to move forward.
before we can move forward.
I spoke to him about that, and he told me he would have it.
Okay, I
What
know
is his letter supposed to say?
none of us have seen it, but that doesn't mean he didn't submit it. That's why I was wondering where Joan
She'll be back.
went. Joan will be back, and then we can resolve that matter.
the bottom line is he and not me is supposed to be the one who
Right.
tells you that the applications are adequate to move forward.
Right.
You know.
And I don't remember seeing that letter, but that doesn't mean it didn't come. But Joan would,
But what about this
No.
middle ground?
the only other question I had was about, for a subdivision, not having any survey map.
Yeah.
Because that's basically the basis.
It was actually submitted for the last application.
So it just needs to be altered, taking off the northern lot, the third lot,
Well, the
to just show the
survey
two.
includes all 2 lots, but all the
But you can maybe shade out the north one, saying you're only dealing with the 2 lots.
yeah,
Okay, I mean, you could get that to us
yeah, I can get it to you.
before the end of the week, I'm sure.
Who's that stamped by?
I think it's Marie Welch.
Okay. It's an actual survey map?
Yes.
For meets and bounds and all, and courses and all that sort of thing?
Yes, it's
Okay.
Yeah, it's just,
So, frankly, I'm kind of comfortable in going ahead myself. The letter from Ron maybe got lost, or,
I've never seen it.
yeah.
We'll follow up with him tomorrow, if he should be Tuesday.
Yes, he'll be in tomorrow. Yeah, Tuesday.
let me see, just trying to think if
How does the board, how does the board feel about it? I mean, just because I'm comfortable proceeding, assuming Ron will give us a letter, or it's already there, we just haven't seen it, that's the only
You
real
make it part of
issue
the
I have.
condition?
Well, it would have to be a condition. We'd have to have that letter, or we wouldn't be able to go beyond.
So if we,
I'm going to see if Joan's in the office.
Okay.
Let's see. Because if the letter's just,
the other thing I have suggested here, I think...
I'll ask Joan if she has...
thank you,
Because
Richard.
There would be delay involved because of the need of ZBA action. I'm simply suggesting here that the planning board, if it elects to proceed, actually set the public hearing date for January 5th. We move to the first Monday schedule after the first of the year, which puts it only a couple of weeks after December 15th, and nothing's going to get accomplished on December 15th because of the need to deal with the ZBA.
I understand.
And that would provide necessary time for referrals and all this sort of thing, and any further discussion that might occur with the CEO, what have you. So that was the other little quirk.
That we could do.
There's nothing to be gained by actually establishing a December 15th public hearing on this.
So if I'm to go through this draft procedural resolution, I will just, application understands.
The contingent, as you see, George, is that the action is contingent upon the ZBA's acceptance of the application for area variance at its meeting of November 19th, and the ZBA's scheduling of a public hearing thereon prior to January 5th. So, they've got,
Is there anything that would be...
If otherwise, the matter of acceptance of the application is made to the planning board and the scheduling of a public hearing thereon will be revisited at the planning board's December meeting.
Is there any reason not to do this then on December 15th if we're going to schedule the public hearing for January 5th? And we'll know we'll have the letter from Ron, we'll know we'll have everything by then, and there won't be any
Because
contingency.
over the holidays, you're going to have you always have the problem with that quick turnaround that occurs between, as you transition from the third Monday to the first Monday. You don't have enough time for referrals and everything else, and notices and what have you. So that's why I'd suggest proceeding.
Okay, but I see on this, we're not scheduling a site visit or anything in this resolution? Did I miss that, which is entirely possible?
You can add that.
Okay.
With the fact that we're putting in this potential resolution, the ZBA thing, I think it has to be formally documented to the ZBA that what we're doing to make sure it doesn't fall through their trap.
Right, no, we'll definitely inform
Sure,
them.
Mr. Rodenhausen, if he's going there tomorrow night, we'll let them know, but right?
Well, Wednesday night. Wednesday night, yeah.
Oh, that's right, today.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
There also is one final item, and this board does not necessarily have to classify this matter under secret this evening, and there's been some discussion back and forth as to the appropriate classification of these residential matters. So I've added here that the board would request input from the planning board attorney prior to December 15th concerning the appropriate classification, and would...
As to whether it's a type 1 or
right,
unlisted.
as whether it's type 1, unlisted, type 2, what have you.
Okay. I don't know if there are any
We've been
other...
back and forth, because what's happened in the past is there perhaps has been segmentation.
We still have a quorum, so I guess we can do this. I don't know if Richard went.
What have you. And while and the area variance itself may be a type 2 action, the rest of it,
She's
like
received a
subdivision
whole
plan
bunch of
approval,
stuff
is really not.
Okay,
over the last week, applications, letters, and everything, and she can't put her finger on anything right now.
Okay.
She's got some of the emails she hasn't printed, so for all intents and purposes, we don't have the letter right now.
okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll follow this sort of conditional approach.
It's just going to give you the full EAF on the assumption that it would be a type 1.
Exactly.
In the historic district, adjacent.
And
It
it-
involves an historic building.
Yes.
See, that's my interpretation too, but why was it processed at the ZBA previously as an unlisted action, or as a type 2 action?
Well, because it's an area variance for residential.
But that's segmentation.
But it still, it doesn't matter. It's
We're
still...
going to ask for clarification.
Yeah, we can ask for clarification, but it still would be a type 2. It's an area variance.
So you concur that this,
I think it should be a type 2 at the ZBA.
Yeah,
okay.
They'd have to wait for you to complete this.
Okay.
but anyway. Okay. Well, let me read this and see how it sounds. The Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board hereby acts as follows on the below October 29, 2014 applications by Carolyn Marks Blackwood in the matter of the proposed expansion of Ms. Blackwood's single-family dwelling at 64 Grinnell Street within the Rhinecliff Hamlet, Rhinecliff Overlay Districts, the Hudson River National Historic Landmarks District, and the town's LWRA by 1, removing the 1,030 square foot 1997 addition to a single-family dwelling, 2, replacing it with a larger addition resulting in a net increase of 637 square feet to 2,962 square feet in floor area, and 3, undertaking related site improvements and the merger of 2 parcels to create a total of .61 acres. 1, application for certificate of removal or demolition under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, Section 125-62 historic buildings, and Town Code Chapter 78 historic buildings. Application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101 subdivision of land for merger of the 2 parcels. Application for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, Section 12568, specific standards for certain uses, subsection DD, special use permit required for certain uses in the hamlet of Rhinecliff, and Section 12969 Rhinecliff Overlay District. Application for special use permit under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, Section 12540, development of streams, rivers, wetlands, and other water bodies for work within 1,000 feet of the Hudson River. Application for site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, Section 12569 Rhinecliff Overlay District, Section 12572 site plan approval required, and Section 12573 uses subject to site plan approval. 1, accepts the applicant's acknowledgement the proposed expansion exceeds by 662, was it 667 square feet?
62, right? 2962?
62?
Yeah, 662, right?
Okay. Oh. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying, yes, thank you.
The variance,
Thank you.
662.
662 square feet, the maximum permitted floor area of 2,300 square feet for a single-family dwelling in the RCO district, and as such may not be approved by the planning board unless upon submission and consideration of an application for area variance relief from the maximum standard is granted by the amount proposed by the Zoning Board of Appeals. 2, understands the application for area variance to increase the maximum permitted square footage of the expanded dwelling proposed by Ms. Blackwood was submitted to the ZBA on October 30th, 2014, and has yet to be accepted or otherwise considered by the ZBA, with it understood the application is calendared as an agenda item for November 19th, 2014. 3, in consideration of the above acknowledgement, accepts the above cited applications made to the planning board as adequate for review by the planning board, its advisors, and the public, and schedules a combined public hearing on the applications made to the planning board for, I think, 6:35 on January 5th, 2015, with both the acceptance of the applications and the scheduling of a public hearing and related noticing thereof by this board contingent upon the ZBA's acceptance of the application for variance area variance at its meeting of November 19th, 2014, and the ZBA is scheduling a public hearing, therefore, thereon prior to January 5th, 2015. If otherwise, the matter of acceptance of the applications made to the planning board and the scheduling of public hearing thereon will be revisited at the planning board's regular meeting of December 15th, 2014. 4, provided the above stated condition involving acceptance of the application for area variance by the ZBA and the scheduling of public hearing thereon for a date prior to January 5th, 2015 is met on November 19th, 2014, directs the planning board clerk to carry out the following. A, referral of the applications to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for review and advisory opinion pursuant to Section 239 of the General Municipal Law. B, referral of the applications to the Town Conservation Advisory Board for review and comment with respect to the environmental considerations. C, referral of the applications to the Town Waterfront Advisory Committee for review and comment as to consistency with coastal policies as set forth within the town's LWRP. D, refers the application to the town historian for review and comment. E, publication, posting, distribution of notice of public hearing, see a next document in accordance with the requirements of Town Code Chapter 101, Subdivision of Land, Section 101, 4.4, and Town Code Chapter 125 Zoning, Sections 125-66, 12577. F, schedules a site visit. Who would like to site visit?
I'll go.
Okay, you and I will go? Okay, Melody, this way I'll try to remember it's you and do a site visit. 5, request input from the planning board attorney prior to December 15th, 2015 concerning the appropriate classification under seeker of the proposed action subject to the several applications before the planning board and is subject to various historic, scenic, and other special designations.
And will so classify the proposed action at its meeting of December 15, 2014.
Okay. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Could I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so I contact you about the site visit?
Yes.
Okay, we will do that.
We'll be back the 15th then. Department side.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, you're going to be back here for the public hearing on January 5th.
Yes, we were going to act on the...
Oh, you don't have to be here.
You don't have to be here.
Yeah, that's
You don't
it.
have to be here. We'll just let you know what,
We'll just-
you don't need to be here for that one. Okay. Joseph Romeo, 15 and 29 Delano Drive, subdivision plat, special use permit, and site plan. Conduct of sketch plan conference, initial presentation of application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land to authorize a .118 acre annexation to 5.013 acre parcel of a portion of a 2.610 acre parcel owned by Edmund and Arlene Pasquarelli, and applications for special use permit and site plan approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning for construction of swimming pool, pool deck, pavilion, including an earthen berm and fencing within 100 feet of a stream on the expanded parcel, all in the rural countryside, RC5 district, planning board review for completeness and processing, and may be timely under Town Code and seeker. I don't think that the parcel is 5.013 acres that it's being annexed to. I think it's also 2 point something. They're all part of a related,
2.6 or something.
yeah.
No,
No?
it's the...
It is larger than that?
Yep, it's larger than that. The issue is the parcel that's losing acreage.
Okay.
I don't have the application in front of
So
me.
Mr. Romeo's parcel is 5 point something acres.
Romeo's parcel